harder. Kan hij nog harder zetten? Dan kan hij nog weer zoomen.
Andy, alsjeblieft.
Klank is de dood op die ding, man. Hierdie mic. Die klank is de dood hierdie, hoor. Kan ek...
Hy is al die laaste ding wat ek... Want hy kan speel nog so tot video's na julle toe doen. So dit is nou al ding wat nou as 'n monitor gaat help vir julle. Verstaan? Ons hulle mos nou die deure, die moes jy stryd signal die aanste wat so doen keer met.
Nou waar as daar nie stryd signal is. O, as jy dit toespan het. So the dance already when they get dressed. Are they coming up?
Okay. As my hart alle kon praat, sou jy weet, happy times was by jou. Ons asem, ons twee saam, maak alleen die oomblik vol my.
Good evening, goeienaand almal. Good evening. Goeienaand. Let's try that again. Goeienaand. Daar sê, hoe gaan dit? Daar sê, prachtig. Good evening and it's a welcome to all of us. So what I want to do is I just want all of us to please take our seats because we would like to start now. So if we can please do that. If all of us can take our seats and then we will start. And then I will just briefly introduce myself. I will introduce the evening, as well as our brilliant musicians that are joining us here tonight. Okay, so it seems that we're good, so we have the side. So once again, a warm UWC and welcome to all of us here tonight. Give yourselves a nice round of applause. Absolutely to be at the third installment of Dink. Dit is 'n Nood-Kaap ding. Can I hear something just like a wow? There we go. There we go. So it's amazing to be here, and we hope that this is going to be an amazing evening together of fellowship and laughter en 'n bietjie lag, grappery en hopelik ook 'n bietjie sweet as jy jou bietjie die stof laat staan. Ek weet nou we have mats here this evening, so we may not to get the dust stand. I don't know, but we will try our. So my name is Trevor MacArthur, or at least Trevor Magetta. Some of you still know me by my previous service, so I had to tell them earlier on that I'd recently changed. And yeah, so Magetta, and from the Department of Sociology, based at the University of the Western Cape. Like I said, it's a pleasure to be here, to be part of the third installment of the Nood-Kaap ding, an amazing project that was started by my colleague and dear friend, Dr. Rato Mokwena, and especially being supported by our other colleagues who will be part as well as with the support, obviously, of the University of the Western Cape, and this year with the support of the University of South Africa. But I will come to that in a moment. So what my job is fairly easy. I hope it's going to be easy. For the first part, I'm just meant to introduce you, to introduce the evening. We are going to start with our music ensemble. Our first musician will be Pieter Takelo, Berridale, and Pieter tell many stories to tell about his travels and his music. But tonight, he's going to tell us his story through song and music. So I'm just going to introduce Pieter, and then maybe followed by Pieter will Dwayne Lombard and the team, and followed by him will be Annalisa Baliso. So, Pieter, if you are ready, we are going to kick you. Pieter is on my left-hand side, aangenaam, en Anker, Pieter.
Story so jy kan nie skryf dan nie 'n storie is nie. Hierdie storie word okay. Maar hierdie storie word daar is 'n wandjie om daai rok te trek. Nou sy was so as prisman. En slag sou sy altyd verby. Nou om Jan nooit hou nie. As hy nou vir die antie nou sien nie. En telkens moet aan hom nader roep, kom terug. Jy kan nie nog rooi hakskene hê nie. Rooi hakskene is vir die jong span. Ek weet of die span weet waar rooi hakskene kom in. Jy sal altyd kyk nou mooi na die hoenders. Nee, jy het rooi hakskene. Met ander woorde, hulle is sommer, ek sê nie. En die volgende woord wat ek gaan volg is granaat. Al gaan jy weg, dan kom jy weer. Nee? En ek praat baie met die jongs van vraag, waar nou kom die rap? Want jy kan met baie van die jong rappers sê, ons die rap begin. Ek sê altyd, my woord in my mond is altyd sousies vir julle. Ons mense, ou mense het lang al gerap, voordat hulle boer is. Nee? Hy sing, my groot breingitaar, trek ons by my. Nee? My sneetjies brood, my 7 sneetjies brood, ek maak my kinders daar groot. Nee? En ek gaan dit sing, en ek kan nou my woordkies, eerst ek trek my water aan, tweede vers, granaatboom voor my deur, en derde vers met my groot breingitaar, by mekaar, en dan die heel laaste een is 7 sneetjies brood. Nee, onze mense het vreselik gesing, as julle saam met my kan sing, dan is dit lekker gewees. Ek trek my betrok aan. Ek trek my betrok aan. My betrok aan vir die jaloerse mense. Ek trek my betrok aan. Ek trek my betrok aan vir die jaloerse mense. Granaatboom voor my deur. Granaatboom voor my deur, granaatboom voor my deur, laat gaan jy weg, dan kom jy weer. Granaatboom voor my deur, granaatboom voor my deur, granaatboom voor my deur, gaan jy weg, dan kom jy weer. My groot breingitaar, my groot breingitaar, se liefde. By mekaar, my 7 sneetjies brood. Ja, my 7 sneetjies brood. My 7 sneetjies brood. Ek maak my kinders daarmee groot. Een ding wat ek vir ons kinders, jong mense wil leer. As Jan en ek kwaad as van mekaar, dan het Jan eerste sy gitaar gevat. Nee, al gooi sy vir hom uit weer, hy gryp eerste sy gitaar. Ek weet, hy gaan die hele nacht buiten wees. Dan het hy dan te aan, kan muziek maak. En dit is hoe onze mense maar muziek gemaakt het. En my laatste gedagte, oom sê, muziek, al die real dansers, jy dans op die snaar. Rede jy dans op die snaar, want hoe jy speel, sal bepaal hoe dans jou kinders. Nee? As jy stadig speel, sal ek ook stadig dans. Maar as jy een bykie optel, en jy maak jy hond los, nee, ek weet ek sien, onze real dansers, jy maak die hond los, beteken, een hond wat op vast is, hy kan nie beweeg nie, man. Nee? En hulle die hond, kyk nou, julle los. En dan gaan julle sien, wat ek bedoel met dit. Maar dankie, ek gaan nog soeker later nog so liedjie speel. Die real dansers.
Kom ons gee vir oom Pieter nog so 'n laaste handklap. Baie dankie oom Pieter. Okay, volgende, next we have the team led by Dwayne Lombard, and they will be singing they will be entertaining us with some amazing music. And over to you, Dwayne Ensemble. Baie dankie.
Goedenavond, dames en heren. Mijn naam is Nood-Kaap. Ik is daar van die Koervallei. Dat is kan Montiki. Ja, ik is ook een rilkunstenaar. Om Pieter. Jong rilkunstenaar, zo, zal maar zeggen 45 jaar oud. En die rilmuziek aan mijn hart. Ons proberen ook die rilmuziek een beetje modern maken. Jong kinders kan aanklank van. So wat ons vanavond willen gaan doen, is 3 liedjes. Eerste liedje zijn naam is Bokkie, wat ga jij zeggen? En hij heeft zo van een uptempo beat en hij klinkt een beetje anders dan die deze real muziek. En niet dit. Over. Ik heb van jou gekies om bij mij te wezen. Ja, kwam blik van die dag. En die nacht. Wat je zegt. Als ik voor jou verleer. Wat gaat je zeggen? Als ik voor jou verleer. Mijn hart zal je. Jij laat me doen. En pijn. Als ik overleef. Wat gaat je zeggen? Als ik voor jou overleef. Zo niemand gaat mij zeggen als ik voor jou overleef. Want jij is die een wat ik verleef. Mijn hart klopt, kaboom, kaboom. Jij nader komt om mijn knieën lang. Bokkie, jij gaat samen huis toe gaan. Bokkie, wat gaat je zeggen? Als ik voor jou. Wat gaat je zeggen? Als ik voor jou verleef. Die volgende lied. Wegstap van de meisie af. Jaren later terug gaat denk je aan dat stap het of zij weg gezet. Tale kon praat. Makali di oomblik volmaak diep in my van jou vir my dag se laaste soek. Weet jy wat het aan my binneste wegstap, breek my hartjies. I love you forever. My blik vast, wil ek hierdie vasvang, met jou vir ewig aan my sy. Diep binne my, diep binne my. Dankie dames en heren.
Next performance will be by Annalisa Baliso and colleagues. You, Annalisa. Yep.
Yes, 1, 2. Good evening, everybody. Annalisa Baliso. I'm a social worker by profession. I am a UWC graduate. You imagined by imagine there's no trees. It is hard to do. Or die for religion. Imagine all the people leading like people. But I'm one. You join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need. Oh, imagine all the people for the you may say I'm a dreamer. Down is we till can get is it at least sit
much, Annalisa. Next, we are going to call on the founder, the brain of the project. Say now on the person conceptualized, who made all of this possible, our dear colleague in the Department of Linguistics and Modern Languages at the University of South Africa. Over to you, Dr.
Good evening, everybody. Really good to see you. Goeienaand, om julle te sien. So, in a household, first, that are blessing us with a talent tonight, afternoon, now evening, and welcome to the Colloquium Gala Dinner. PT, Vice Chancellor of the University of the Western Cape, Professor Vivian, we have and rector of, was patiently waiting for me to be recognized. And like I came at the bottom, that person is now. Night. Let's just start with the, right? And start with the people that really made the event, the people that made the event. We don't have to wait to get to the small people. So everybody, welcome. It's so good to have you. It's so good to see you. We apologize. We started late, a bit of technical difficulty all over places. But look, we look fashionable and that's all that matters, right? So welcome. So I grew up in a house, right, that religious for food before. I don't know if you are from the Northern Cape, I'm sure. Right? The speed and the length of the prayer doesn't matter much. But give thanks to God for the food you eat, right? So I don't know if you know the one where it's like, Dank, Sianons Vader, Sianons Yatela. You know that one? Right? Loves that one, Sianons, right? So then I came to university and I attended various formal events and noticed that the vote of thanks was done at the end. So the personal and the professional clashed. So I'm going to do the vote of thanks right now so that we acknowledge the people, the reason we are sitting here and the reason why it looks so extravagant, right? So I figured for tonight, just tonight, I will follow when how to give thanks first before I do my address, because it's really, we really thank people at the end like it's a by the way, right? So I would really first the local organizing committee. With others, nothing would have happened. Even up until the last moment, sweating outside about the minor details, I appreciate you. So really, from the people that did the work at UNISA, from the people that did the work at I appreciate you. Need to mention your name, there's of us, right? So the guests that will be speaking, including myself, I would like to thank myself for the courage to stand in front of you, right? And of everybody else that will be doing the work 3-day colloquium, who really appreciate. To everybody who bless us, we appreciate, and baie dankie for what you're about to show us and what you're about to share with us. We really, really do appreciate it. Right? So if I didn't thank you afterwards, and I will thank you. And then a huge shout out to a person I'm so happy to see, Miss Annelisa, like, oh my God, oh my God. You still have such an angelic voice. It's so good to see you. Annelisa and I were together in the peer mentoring program, and goodness, you have a beautiful voice, and thank you so much for being with us, right? And she's a WC alumni. So we plow back. We always plow back and we remember all of these extra talents we had, except studying, right? Right. So now I can go into my address, right? So as Trevor kindly mentioned, I am Dr. Laura Kwena. I'm the founder, one of the members of the local organizing committee. It is a great honor to be given the opportunity to share briefly with you the history of the colloquium, colloquium's intended purpose, and ultimately to provide you with a synopsis of Dunk 2023. The colloquium, that is a Nood-Kaap Dunk, abbreviated as Dunk, translatable to, it's a Northern Cape thing, was founded in 2021 as a researcher whose work focuses on the Northern Cape. Three interrelated issues bothered me, right? So the first one, it really bothered me, that academics who conducted research in the Northern Cape were not acquainted with each other's work and essentially operated in silos. Secondly, I was troubled by the fact that I could not really locate any projects where researchers involved in the Northern Cape communities was involved in co-creation of knowledge and provided a feedback loop, right? We do research, and so we must be accountable to the people we do research, we involve in our research, right? Researchers with communities and created avenues that benefited both researchers and communities. Thirdly, I was troubled, and I'm still deeply troubled, by the orthodox setup of traditional conferences, hint, hint, as I knew that by their very makeup, conferences would not be welcoming to the Tani in Ababib, right, who never finished primary school, but is the walking and breathing archive as she preserved indigenous healing Titani doesn't even know what an abstract is, like most of you were asked to support, right? Never mind, does she know how to write? But does that make Tani's knowledge less valuable? Just because she doesn't conform to the traditional conference standards? It doesn't. So the colloquium, of course, was founded to address primarily these three issues. And although Dunk is an academic gathering, Dunk is not just another academic exercise. It is not just another academic gathering that is comparable to a conference. Conferences, by their nature, or I guess people set it up this way, are jealously gathered as, or rather protected as spaces where academics gather and marvel at each other's genius. Of course, that is interesting enough to actually draw a crowd in the first place. I'm just saying. And of course, the conferences are hardly spaces where stakeholders can come together for mutual learning, teaching, earnest conversation, and maybe even plain old human interaction. You know? So Dunk aims to be different, while the aim is to stimulate insightful academic narratives and to expose and inspire us to integrate indigenous knowledge systems, art, activism, and film in mainstream media. We can do all of that, and I promise you, we can do all of that without making each other feel marginalized by creating the impression that some of us are less intelligent, less educated, less valuable, because we cannot speak fluent English or that we speak broken English. It is my sincere prayer for the whole week that you embody this difference as you interact with a range of participants at the colloquium. So this is the first year that the colloquium is not held. Those who are unaware of the links between the Northern Cape and the Western Cape jokingly yet ignorantly asked, how is it that the Northern Cape thing is taking place in the Western Cape? Before 1994, the geographic area now considered the Northern Cape formed part of the Cape Colony, which changed to Cape Province in 1910, and of course 1993 when we were negotiating a lot of things, the Cape Province was split into the Northern Cape, Western Cape, and Eastern Cape. So with this year's colloquium theme being ruptures, the Northern Cape, before to answer questions related to the ruptures and that exist between what we now know as these three independent provinces. A glaring legacy that exists between the Northern Cape and the Western Cape is the predominant use of the Afrikaans language, irrespective of race. The Northern Cape does not share ruptures and legacies with other provinces, but with other countries, such as Namibia. The named language Nama, which is from the spoken in Namibia and in Upington. The two San groups in platform originate from Angola and speak languages that are indigenous to Angola, Namibia, and Botswana. So, skeptics, it remains a Northern Cape. And if we can't think or talk about the Northern Cape outside of its borders and outside of South Africa's borders, the province's growth and sustainability is at stake. Northern Cape shouldn't be merely perceived as a physical space. The age-old issue of mobility of ideas, languages, and customs renders it futile to of a range of deliberate. Essentially, is a project from which stems this colloquium related publications to grow Nood-Kaap Dunk from a center that will promote and fund research related to the Northern Cape. A research center where elders in our communities, members that are appreciated as one of our most valuable archives and experiences, and the history they come with before time on this earth expires. A research center that provides local and provincial government scientific and contextual data that informs their decision making. A research center where knowledge does not rest with the educated and but rests with even those who can take the wind of the direction, whether it will rain or not. Rests with those who can tell from the size of a female's skin complexion during pregnancy, whether she is carrying a boy or a girl child. Die groot mense sê altyd, bietjie bietjie maak meer, and aanhouer wen. And this is what this colloquium is about. This year, I realized that Afrikaans took over and then I didn't translate. Bietjie bietjie maak meer. Jacob. Bietjie bietjie maak meer means, drops add to volume, right? And of course, perseverance always. Colloquium is excited to include the exhibitions of works by a range of artists for the duration of the colloquium, work of art inspired by her people, her aesthetics. Additionally, we engaged in a workshop where we can learn best practices of how to create dictionaries or document historically marginalized languages in South Africa, of which the Northern Cape has played in this year's colloquium, and I sincerely pray that you find it productive and welcoming. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mokoena. Our next speaker is going to be Professor Tyrant Pretorius, my apologies. Jo, ek wil nie voor die rooi mat staan in my basis hier. So, Prof. Tyrant Pretorius is currently the Rector and Vice Chancellor of the University of the Western Cape. He was previously the Senior Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academic at the University of Pretoria, responsible for teaching and learning all faculties of the university, the Gordon Institute of Business Science, resource allocation, as well as institutional planning. Prior to his appointment at the University of Pretoria, he was the Pro-Vice Chancellor of Monash University, a campus of Monash University, Australia. Before joining Monash, he was Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic at the University of the Western Cape and spent 10 years as Dean of Community and Health Sciences, also at the university. Background in psychology, one from the University of the Cape and one from the University of Free State. In addition, he was a past fellow of the Yale University Southern Africa Fellowship Program, and participated in the Oxford University Leadership Program. In respect of professional associations, Professor Pretorius is a member of the European Association for Institutional Research, the Psychological Society of South Africa, and currently serves as the statistical editor of the Southern African Journal of Psychology. In addition, he's also a member of the New York Academy of Science, the American Psychological Association, the International Liaison Division of Counseling Psychology, American Psychological Association, and he's also a reviewer for several international psychology and social science journals. Post-1994, Prof. Pretorius held leadership in several structures, such as the Prisoners of the League, Rural Support Network, and the Western Cape Mental Health Group. In addition, he chaired or was in several structures and contributed to policy development in the new South African democracy, amongst others, the Ministerial Committee on Mental Health, Abuse, the Task Team on Abuse, and the malpractice in psychiatric institutions, as well as the Economic Advisory Groups, Premier of the Northern Cape, and the Statistics Council of South Africa. With that long introduction, over to you, Prof. Pretorius.
The former Premier of the Western Cape tells a story about a woman who lost her husband. And when she attended the funeral with her children, speaker after speaker got up and spoke eloquently about what a wonderful man that passed away too soon, and they spoke about his contributions, and the poor woman became more and more confused. Eventually she turned to her children and she said, "Ek dink ons is by die verkeerde begrafnis." Daai pa wat hulle van praat nie. I feel like that after that introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, scholars, delegates to the colloquium, it's an absolute pleasure to stand before you today and to extend a warm and a heartfelt welcome. And my apologies, Dr. Mokoena, I do it from the top. The Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic of the University of the Western Cape, Professor Vivian Lavac, the CEO of the Castle of Good Hope, Mr. Calvin Gilfillian, also a former staff member of UWC, the Dean of the Faculty of Community and Health Science, Professor Anthea Roda, the Dean of the Faculty of Law at UWC, Professor Dr. Ville, the Chair of the Department of Linguistics and Modern Languages at UNISA, Dr. Letsualo, all the academics, the activists, the postgraduate students, the performers, and everyone who was present and present at the colloquium, and the talented artists who will be performing at tonight's event. And obviously, the and inspirational force behind dit is 'n Nood-Kaap ding, Dr. Lerato Mokoena. Finally, in person, I was supposed to attend the inaugural but unfortunately it was during COVID, and safety dictated that I. Dr. Mokoena, it's good to see you again. Professor Lavac told me that I should say to you, all is forgiven. You may come back. I have a unique bond with the Northern Cape. At high school and matriculated before Northern Cape. To matriculating, I was employed as a teacher. The area of specialization was just about anything and everything. Dit is 'n Nood-Kaap ding, because I vividly recall English, but using the medium of Afrikaans. Dit is mos 'n Nood-Kaap ding. And I would say to the learners, die meervoud van is R. And you will all recall the favorite essay that all of us did at school, which was Narrow Escape. You must have a narrow escape. And shame, one of the learners started her essay. One day escaped from that is them. For many phrase that I used, which I found incorrect, was die trappe van treffende trap in Engels. I always superlative. Die oortreffende trap is superlative. Until I came to university and I taught my first class, and one student was brave enough to stand up and to say, no, superlative. And no teaching qualifications in front of a that thousands of teachers at so-called black and colored schools were appointed to posts. 464 teachers in 2021. It must have been less than 464 in 1986. So more than half of the teachers in 1986 were unqualified. I need not explain what this statistic had on apartheid's marginalized populations. Were robbed of education, of a system engine to cage intellectual progress and denigrate history and identity. So what is happening more recently in the Northern Cape? Many Northern Cape relentless pillaging, and it turned ruthless men and women. It is besieged with poverty and a range of social ills. Last year, I read that the Portfolio Committee of Basic Education visited a number of schools in the Northern Cape. At one of these schools, the principal out to the school at midnight on one occasion. The school was robbed, but only stolen. I need to tell you what the implication of that is. Apartheid's legacy goes on, ladies and gentlemen, and we see it every day. The University of the Western Cape is committed to effecting real change. And our staff, institutionalization of South Africa, sends discipline and brings together stakeholders from various spheres. A profound investment in the province. It is a space for dialogue, for collaborations, and for learning that reaches into the fabric of this region's past, its present, and its future. I am delighted that the colloquium is being at the historic castle of Good Hope, an involving space that is imbued with its rich history and symbolism. I want to express our profound appreciation to all who have made this colloquium possible. The driving force, Dr. McQuena, the local organizing committee, and all participants and delegates that will be attending the 3-day colloquium. Together we embark on a journey over the next 3 days, a journey of exploration, of reflection, and dialogues as we seek to understand the Northern Cape's unique heritage and untapped potential. On a last note, I am still an unqualified teacher. I wish you a very successful colloquium. It's a gathering process. We always expect a lot at the beginnings of such gatherings. Often the realities are not what we envisioned. Sometimes we get less, sometimes we get more than what we did. But too soon the opportunities are gone and the experiences over. I encourage you to make the most together and to make the most of the opportunities presented by this gathering. I thank you.
To hand over this to you, to Catherine from.
Thank you, Dr. McQueen.
Thank you so much. Let's give Prof. Pretorius another round of applause. Thank goodness for qualified teachers. And that's why many of us are here today. I think it's interesting that you mentioned that because just in the week, Prof, we celebrated World Teachers' Day. So it's such an important and sometimes unforgiving and thankless job that they do. So maybe just to acknowledge to all those qualified and unqualified teachers, of who many of you are part of. So thank you so much to all of you. Okay, so now it gives me great pleasure, and it's with immense excitement that I'm going to call on Dwayne and the Real Dance Group. So if you can get yourselves ready, and hopefully, so I encourage and I implore all of you to please, if you can maybe do this, if you have shoulders, if you can maybe just do something, we encourage you to please enjoy. So over to you, the Real Dance performance. Thank you. As. Ahoo! I said die hond is los. Okay. Wow. Kom ons gee die real dancers nog so 'n wonderlike handeklap. Baie dankie. Baie dankie. Next, it is my great pleasure to invite Professor Vivian Lavak. Before I ask her to come to share with us some thoughts around the significance of engaged scholarship, I just want to quickly run through her profile, and I hope, Prof, you're not going to. Yeah, I'm just going to do a quick one. A quick, because I don't want you to say that, as die regtig ek. So I'm going to do it quick. So Prof Lavak is Deputy Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs at the University of the Western Cape. She's also Professor of Law in the Department of Mercantile and Labor Law in the Faculty of Law at UWC, and serves on a number of boards and councils, including being the chair of the Moravian Church, a member of the South African Judicial Education Institute Council, and a member of the Kepler Institute Board and Kepler College Board in Rwanda. Professor Lawak holds a B. Juris cum laude, as well as an LLB cum laude, and an LLM from the Nelson Mandela University, Mandela University in Port Elizabeth. She holds an LLD from UNISA, and she's an admitted non-practicing advocate of the High Court, and she's here tonight to speak to us on the significance of engaged community scholarship. Over to you, Professor Lavak. Give a nice round of applause.
The first thing I'm going to do is to say all protocol observed, because the rector did a lovely welcome to everyone, and at this stage after that movement, I'm sure that you're not interested to be hearing all it is. I'm sure you are happy to have all the speeches done by now. It really gives me great pleasure. I want to speak to the audience. Yeah, taking such a lot of time to introduce us, eh? A few things before I get into the speech. When the rector was speaking, I laughed so much because I thought he explained how, English, there's a couple of things where me coming from Clarkson, in the Tsitsikamma, what is happening here at Dink or this Nood-Kaap Dink, it really resonates with me for two reasons. The one is, Engels was, jy het dit uit verdediging uit gepraat. In Clarkson, English was a foreign language. And I must tell you just two very short stories. So my father visited his aunt, who was a domestic worker in Port Elizabeth, now called GQ, as we say, Quebec. And he only knew one sentence. And so at this family where his aunt was working, this little boy wanted to speak, and they were English, white family, and he wanted to speak to my father. And my dad said he thought, oh, speak, but because obviously children, and now they want to play. Every time this boy would speak, he could just recall the one sentence that they did. And even in Clarkson, the same way the rector was saying, you would teach English and Afrikaans. That's the way we were taught as well. And all he could say was, run, Pam, run. The ball is in the dam. And then the ball would say something like, hello, what time? Run, Pam, run. The ball is in the dam. So oftentimes now I hear him speak English to some of the grandchildren, and I say, run, Pam, run. The ball is in the dam. The other part that resonates, when you were moving, in my house, I've got this painting that I really of, and please, Jacob, forgive me, I know that real dance is not what it's supposed to be called, and you still need to teach me the proper koi part. But I've got this beautiful painting, and it's actually of a real dance that takes place in Wuppertal. And so for me, there's the Moravian connection, but there's also this connection. And then strangely enough, in Clarkson, my grandmother and her sister, there was a recently, and I'll come back to that a bit later, there was a part just before you get on to what we call the Werf, which is where the church and the school and all of that's the ground. So when you get to what we call the dwarsloot, then you would take off, the men would take off their hats, and if they were smoking or the pipe, then it gets shaken out, and then you maak daai sigaret nou dood. But the brides were actually then supposed to walk from the dwarsloot up to the church. And we had a dance that we called the Jasaluma. Grandmother and her sister led the Jasaluma. So when you were moving like that, that's the way my grandmother would have a big white dress on, and her sister as well, and they would lead this whole Jasaluma. So I think there's a different, I know you're very dynamic, Kwena, and we'll come back to you shortly. There's this Nood-Kaap thing, but remember we were one province, and you'd be surprised at the synergies of what is happening in Nood-Kaap. Where I come from, it's like we might speak a different kind of Afrikaans, but there's synergies here because of our Khoi and ancestry. So I was asked to speak just a few minutes around our scholarship of engagement. And I also want to acknowledge, I think, Mr. Tapela, last time I saw you, you were on the stage at UWC, wasn't it? You received a gold medal from UWC for the work that you are doing at Barrydale. And I've got a because I come from a town, small village, and we only had 2 streets. That's exactly what it was, 2 streets. So it is happening in the rural areas, and especially with our youth. So what we've done was, over a number of years at UWC, we've got the community engagement unit, but it's something that when I almost saw, it was so ingrained in the DNA of UWC, but I almost felt like, and I always say, we cannot do community engagement as a soup kitchen approach to community engagement, where you give handouts, you walk away, and you feel good about yourself, but what about the sustainable communities that we're living there? And so became this quest of ensuring that right through all our faculties, that we firstly integrate our community engagement into everything that we do. And then the recognition also. So having the part of institutionalization was to ensure that excellence in how do you actually integrate your community engagement with your learning and teaching and your research, that we recognize. And then if you want to be promoted at UWC, to us, if you're not doing that, if you're not integrating it, because you're not going to be promoted. The third category is, how do you actually integrate? And so we built that up into what we now call our scholarship of engagement for societal impact. And when Dr. Mokoena asked me to say words about that, I want to make the following. One of the key principles is what we have is that when you're working with a community, and I'm specifically speaking about our civil society in our community, rural or peri-urban, urban communities, I always say you cannot helicopter in and helicopter out. So that's one of our key principles. You cannot have engaged scholarship if you are actually not going to leave a lasting impact, if it's not going to have a societal impact, and if the relationships are not reciprocal. And what I mean by that is that how you actually engage the community right from the conceptualization of your research. If it's a research project you're doing, you cannot decide this is the problem that you want to address and you have not actually about it. That's indeed the problem, as I see it. So even from your conceptualization right through to that dissemination, and then in that when you disseminate, when that knowledge is transferred, you actually co-create. And we've got quite a few examples. I want to, not to embarrass, but I want to mention a few of those examples here. And this colloquium is such a perfect example of the scholarship. So our model works, identifies different ways in which you can scholar, and how, I think the beauty of our framework that was approved by our Senate in 2021 is the fact that you need to find yourself. It's a guideline. You need to find yourself in that framework. What kind of scholar are you? So the different of research is the one which of academics would know this is your disciplinary research that you're doing. Whether you're doing it from a basic research perspective or whether you're doing it in applied fashion. And I'll come back to that one. The second one is a scholarship of learning and teaching, where you reflect on how you teach and how you can actually take from that kind of reflection into how you teach and how you improve on your teaching. And that teaching should be for learning and for student success, and that student that's there is actually not an empty vessel. And the student brings with him or her their own knowledges. And what we've done, the SLC, and this is for me an extension of this, Lorato, you've now left us, and we will have to talk about that center, because I think that center might be a way in which we can get you back. But that is a long conversation we need to do, and how we go about this. So UWC recently, we had the Science Learning Center for Africa. Annelies is here, she's on Dr. Brown over there, she's also on the board, and we've had a reawakening and a rethinking of our center. The indigenous knowledge, where we partner with Ezekiel Museum, and Annelies is at Ezekiel. And this is, in a sense, taking what we've done with SLCA, with knowledge and memory, and taking that forward and working with the community. So the fact that you were dancing here, it wasn't just for our entertainment, but to actually remind us of where we come from, what our communities are like. That one of our Mellon Mays fellows is sitting over here, and I think you're doing on Nababib. You're a master's student. And even Dr. Mokwe was one of our first Mellon Mays fellows. That's why Vanessa Brown was sitting there like a proud mother, smiling the whole time. And she was one of our first academics that came from our Mellon Mays funded program. So this of bringing our communities to where we are. So I'm hoping next time, if zone learning is involved, then you can be on campus and not at the Doubletree Hotel. And I'm so happy that you will be at the castle for the next few days. So what this does, this scholarship, our framework, going beyond the learning and teaching, is integration, the next one. The fourth one is the scholarship of application. And all of those four are held together by what we call the scholarship of engagement for societal impact. So how can you do it? And I want to give you a few examples. The one is through giving our communities their own voices. I'm a storyteller. Storytelling. Our communities need to tell their own stories, because what happens if you don't tell your story? Someone else comes in and tells your story for you in a totally different narrative from your lived experience. And I want to give two examples. Jacob did Bitterfontein. And that is what he comes from Bitterfontein, Dr. Jacob Kluter. In the Northern Cape, he's a real Northern Cape person. Very Northern Cape. So if you watch, so it was Bittersoet, the movie, the documentary. If you have it on YouTube, go and watch that. And you will have an understanding of the place, and not just the history of it, but the lived experience of people from Bitterfontein. And I must say, it was for me so interesting to see how they took a trip to the castle, and the reflection of the community, of their experience coming to Cape Town and actually being at the castle. The other one that will be coming out soon, that Lorato did, if you want to hear how beautifully Afrikaans she speaks, and Jacob was the director and she was the executive producer, Jan. And so, I mean, by you don't helicopter in. That documentary film of the broken string actually includes Jan. Was the second uncle, the oom? I can't even say uncle. We didn't say uncle, or Piet, or Jan and Piet. They were part of that, and they became part of the conference, and they became part. How do you write an academic paper, taking other people's knowledge and not actually include them in that? Then there was also Platfontein, that's coming out. And my own experience, and this is where I want to challenge you, to say that you need to be able to tell stories in the most authentic way. I come from Clarkson. It used to be called Coxbos until there was a grant, and the condition of the grant, the name had to change to Clarkson. A missionary station, Moravian Mission Station, and in 2019, 28th of December 2019, I've been speaking inside me to do a book about Clarkson. And I then arranged a whole community session, because how can I write a book and not involve people from where I come from, so that that story and that heritage is shared with young people, that have a connection with that history and with that real lived heritage. It had to be written in the language, not in a foreign language, because this I learned in PE, in high school. Couldn't speak English before then. So it's a learned language, not my first. And so I had this session with the entire community, and we sat there, and I said, who's going to be authors? And I will edit the book. I wrote 3 chapters in it, but I will edit the book. And my grandfather's sister, that had a profound impact on my life, my Nana. I guess some of you would say Sissy and Titi and all sorts of other things, but it was my Nana. And Nana just said to me, I want to write my story. And she was 43 years, a sub-A teacher. You guys not going to remember what sub-A is, it's grade 1. Sub-A teacher, and Nana then wrote her story, because she email and those kind of things. She wrote a story in her long hand. Sy het vastgeskryf nog, nie eers losskrif nie. And I got the story, and I sat with them, and I still have videos when we shared byname and laughing. I didn't know why those names were like that, mostly connected to or something very. So like one uncle was Cadet Kop, because he had quite a long, prolonged, like those old cadets. But anyway, and the idea then was, and we wrote that she died in COVID on the 28th of November of 20, and she could never see the book. But I was happy that I could type her story, and her story in that book shall live forever, because she told her, and she wrote the last phrase of her story was, Ek, Victoria Paulina Lewis, alom bekend as Juffrou Tori, goed u. And so she greeted us in that book, and the book was published in 21. And then Jacob came and he said to me, Prof, now we need to produce the documentary film, which is now available. And you know, when someone said to me, but you're not going to get any credits for this book because it's not a DHT accredited book, I said, but you don't understand the impact of the book, because when we launched it, the community felt heard. The community felt that their heritage is there for everybody else. And the bishop that's from Clarkson, he said that when we were at school, because it was just 2 streets, they would say to us, oh, julle sien jy op die map nie. So they felt, hey, jy sit nou vir ons op die map. And then the documentary film was bringing all of that together to restore pride. And from that, the community decided that the way we live now is not the way we lived back then. And they then took on their own project around this. And the caption on the book is, my erfenis is vir my mooi. This is what I want to encourage you, Lerato, with this, that you keep that in mind. I don't know what, that you keep this in mind. My erfenis is vir my mooi. And that you bring the different kinds of scholarships together so that you can culminate this in the scholarship of engagement for societal impact. And we at UWC, we've got the web portal where we can do the measurement of that societal impact for you. And we need to talk about that. So the challenge is this. When you have your conference, the colloquium, already start thinking, how do we pay this forward so that all the young people, like, yeah, they sit tonight and that you can see that they're experiencing that. Julle erfenis is vir julle mooi. So that it can be spread to other communities as well, so that we don't give a person a fish, but that you give the person the rod with which they can fish. I thank you.
Oh, it's okay. It's fine. So, Ramon is going to hand over a little gift, gratitude to you. Baie dankie, Prof. Can we give Prof Lavak a nice round of applause? Okay, so it's so interesting. I'm just thinking about how we all have stories, and I'm just to call on our colleague, Mr. Calvin Gilfillan from the Castle of Good Hope, and I'm just thinking about the stories and why it's important to share that. So I'm just going to spend like 30 seconds because I think it's just fitting to mention that, and this is for you, the young people that forms part of the Real Dance collective tonight. Just maybe an encouragement to you. So when my PhD research was also done in a small town in the Nood-Kaap. And so whenever I talk about UWC, and this is before I came to UWC, my relationship with UWC is a weird one, but that's not for today. But I come to UWC with a kind of appreciation for the university because while I was doing my dissertation, or at least my participants wanted to study, they also wanted to go to university. And so what I did was to go to all the universities in the Western Cape, and they would just turn me away. Because you can't apply on behalf of other people, and I did not apply on behalf of other people. I just wanted to go there. Listen, there's these young people that really want to come to university. So I want to share the story with you, because ek wil graag hê julle moet weet dat alhoewel julle hier is vanaand om deel van die Real Dance te doen, dat dit is heel wat moontlik vir julle ook om eendag hier te staan. So ek wil graag hê dat almal van julle moet weet dat jy is nie net so goed soos die dans wat jy kan doen nie. Dat jy het potensiaal, dat jy het iets om op te offer en dat jy inderdaad spesiaal is. So ek wil hê dat jy moet weet dat vanaand vir my, spesifiek vir my, en ek weet vir Lerato en elkeen van ons, is jy nie net 'n danser om vir ons te entertain nie. Maar ons wil ook graag hê dat jy moet word vanaand. So ek hoop dat soos ons hier praat, elkeen van ons, ek sê, my dorpie is Richmond op die N1. Die mense ken net Richmond op die N1 as gevolg van die 80, daar's 'n 80 zone op die N1. So almal as ek sê ek kom van Richmond af, dan weet hulle, okay, daai gedeelte waar daar's 'n 80 camera en almal weet net van daar's 'n 80. So ek wil hê dat julle moet weet, julle kan ook eendag hier staan. Alright. So kom ons gee weer eens die Real Dancers of Alright. So on to talk about the significance of the Castle of Good Hope and why it's important, and maybe for us to move beyond the kind of the constructed borders of 1990 post-94 is Mr. Calvin Gilfillan. Over to you, my good sir.
Thanks so much, Trevor. May I thank you because Dr. might have skipped your name, ceremoniemeester. Dis die risiko as jy die program se kop, as jy die program op sy kop draai, then skip a very important person. So thanks for the way that you conduct yourself. Dr. Lerato, my colleagues, Tyron, not Pastorius, Oscar Pastorius, still, Tyron Pretorius, Professor Wak, I haven't met you, not engaged with you before, but I think our signature is on the MOU between UWC and the Castle. So there is a question. Nou, ek wil saamstem terwyl jong mense, ek wil nie net vir jong mense praat, maar vir alle mense, dat ek is die seun oor 'n messelaar, né? 'n persoon wat nie eens kon bekostig nie. As hy nie 'n kleerlingsake beurs was nie, sou ek nie kon bekostig het om IWK te gaan nie. En my loopbaan vanaf, ek is op 23 jarige ouderdom, soos Tyron ook, Tyron in sielkunde, ek is in geografie aangegaan. So I became a geography master student, and I've done my master on the importance of the historic mission stations in the Western Cape. It wasn't the Western Cape as we know it, it was the entire. So there's Enon, Elim, Wuppertal, Genadendal, Mamre. So you have to do the selection and you apply your scientific rigor and justify why you only select these three and all the nonsense that academics do. I've been an academic for 15 years, so I know all the drama. Don't you worry. But I think the significance of the castle. I know I have 10 minutes. I spent the last 10 years of my professional life at the castle, so I spend 1 year on every. And 1 minute on every year that I've been there, but it's an impossible task. Maybe to the academics here, in my professional engagement with this building, with this quintessential armed colonial conquest and apartheid and enslavement and banishment, etc., that we maybe have a colloquium on that. I don't think the democratic state, South Africa after 1994, have actually reflected enough apartheid, on its colonial symbols. And I focus on the colonial symbols because the focus was on the 60 years of apartheid. So we were worried about Robben Island and Park and about the gallows and it, but we haven't dug deep enough. And I can understand the political motive behind that because you know that the issue of the land, the most important issue, has been detained in a time frame, and that time frame doesn't go deep enough. It doesn't go beyond 2010. 1910 we were a union. Before that, colonialism, then Dutch colonialism, Batavia in between, etc. So, let me be my frame for my talk. So, why is the castle so significant? First of all, if you take away my forefathers, the dabas that they had under the trees, and when they came down maybe from Angola, through Namibia, Northern Cape come in, with their cattle, and they have their structures, then if you take that away, the formal organization of the Khoi and the San people, and you look at the formalization of administration, then the castle is that symbol, or that building where everything stemmed from. So the first formal parliament comes from the castle. The South African Defense Force was formed the Navy was formed in the castle. Mother Kretua, or forefather, everybody, there's not a single person here probably that doesn't have a linkage to Kretua, or the 12-year-old woman, young Khoi lady, who was taken into the big household. Van Riebeeck say, was whatever the reasons that they were afforded, against her will, and living in these two worlds, the world of Western colonialism and the world of the indigeneity, the Khoi group that she belonged to, and her Uncle Harry and Doman and history, all of that happening in the vicinity of the significance of this is of this Castle of Good Hope is not. It's too much for me to talk about here. I want to talk about venue that you will be tomorrow to have this colloquium, Dr. Lerato. The venue is called the Center for Memory, Healing and Learning. And it is a specific decolonial or intervention that if I'm dead and if nobody has written my story, I will take a little bit of credit for that. So it was previously called the Adam Tass Hall. And those of you who know Adam Tass, the previous character that he was, on the one hand, he was fighting corruption, VOC. The VOC, Verenigd Oos-Indische Compagnie. That's East Indian Company. The company that set up the halfway station at the Cape with Commander van Riebeeck as the first, became the first governor of the Cape. So Adam Tass, fighting the colonial corruption, but also fighting the colonial powers because he's giving the Khoi, the San, and other black people, if they are Christian, if they become Christian, the same rights as the white settler colonialist. And out of that, of course, the groot trek, the great trek that you learn from. So that specific room was then identified and decolonized, deeply decolonized. We had Ngau, you know the Ngau ceremonies? A ceremony burn. Some call it Mpefu, we call it hot knots. Analysis is hot knots quite good. So then the Khoi people come in there and they don't consult with me. They start to burn these things. But they don't know that this is now a moderne gebouw. It's a modern building and they have these things in. What do you call these things? Yeah, the smoke alarms. And they make this fire in this room to all the ghosts of Van Riebeeck and Van der Stel and Wagner and all of those others. But then they call up the ghost of modern technology. And so the drama started. And now, normally this weekend, and over the weekend, the people who monitor these things are not there. They're either sleeping or we're joking there with my colleague next to it, with the health sciences, that on a Sunday afternoon, after we've chicken, we all get sleepy. Is right now, is reg, dan raak ons like slaperig. So then they are not there and you can't stop these things. And then the only way to stop this, an executive decision. The CEO said, hit those things out so that we can continue with our ceremony. So the wall is then a 24. We transformed it into a 21st century venue for discussions. So it's got white noise, it's got recording facilities. If it's working tomorrow, we got our video. We can record it, etc. in a 367-year-old building. So you have these two worlds working together. So you're in a very special place, in a good, sweet, sour, ugly, and bad ways, because history is all of that. We cut out the bad parts and say we're only selecting this part, and they call us that we're revisionists or we're reductionists. All these terms that you as academics throw at us as all people. So yes, that's the place. The other thing about that place, if you look down, and I need to give this credit to my late comrade and former activist, Revonia, Dennis Goldberg, who passed away a year and a half ago. He was confronted by youth in this Rhodes Must Fall event. We're talking about decoloniality and decolonizing the institution, decolonizing education, fees must fall, road must fall. And he took this, there was a man talking, a student, and was getting red under the collar because this man was not taking him on. You're white, he didn't know Prof. Dennis Goldberg. Your white people is different. It's because of you that we're now sitting with this artwork, a colonial curriculum, the archive is not decolonized. And Prof told him, listen here, you all speak, all of us can speak decolonizing. All of us can speak, this must for. But go to the castle and see how you do decolonizing. Because the problem with us, and especially us coming from the academia, that it's easy to and look at Walter Mignolo, and we look at this old Frans Fanon, and we look at Sheikh Anta Diop, and we bring all of those things together. But at the end of the day, Prof. Lavak said, if it doesn't make sense to this, if it doesn't inspire these real dancers, or all of us sitting here, then it might as well not exist. So then he was mentioning the kind of decolonial, and the point that I make, the decolonial is that, and Annelies Zico, but I hope Sarah is not here and they don't hear. Now, Sarah is the South African Heritage Resources Agency. And where's the artists? They're setting up their art now at the bottom in the stables. And then they come with this rules, you know, the screw. And I always use this metaphor. The screw should not be longer than 3.5 centimeters. If it's longer, you have to make a heritage application. And all of these stories that they have. And then we say, but okay, we want a lift taking us up from the, what do you call it, the torture chamber, or what, where Adam Tas was it? What do they call it? The kids, you know, those of you who were at the castle. The dungeons, the dark dungeons, where Adam Tas was kept. We want from there to where you are going tomorrow. We want it up there. And so we apply the application, we're starting to do, and we're starting to drill, to saw through this 360-year-old beams. It might have come from the Van Riebeeck ship or whatever, or from the olive tree that's 1,000. And so the argument was that, and fortunately for me at that stage, my chairperson, General, was in a very serious accident and he couldn't walk properly. So I said to them, you either decide to keep that 360-year-old beam as it is, or you carry my chairperson up to that, and the thing was one. And it was one. And that's how we got that lift, universal ability from the bottom to the top. And of course now with ICECOM and the electronic era, if you switch on these things on and off together, it's like the microwave, it switches on and off. And the insurance are crying because then have to pay out your fridge and this thing and this. It's often the case that we do. So technology is good, but it's also having its limitations when you deal with decoloniality. So now, let me, tomorrow if I don't see you, welcome you at the colloquium. I didn't know that, I thought it was this a Nood-Kaap thing, because this a Nood-Kaap ding. Because ek is van die Parel, so ons is Bolanders, ons praat mos 'n ander styl, wat die Noord-Kaapers en die mense praat. Almal praat mos maar hulle geolekte, hulle streekstale, whatever. So, dit is 'n Nood-Kaap ding, was te lang vir my. So ek sê, dis 'n Nood-Kaap ding, maar die DINK is die afkorting vir dit. So, well done with your rich and flavorful optover taal. Dit lê my baie na aan die hart. En die Noord-Kaap is 'n wonderlike plek om te wees. Storie. Professor Lavak, moet die storie vertel, 2 stories. Die een storie is, ons het laas jaar 'n groot ding aangegaan vir die laaste spreker. Nou weet die Khoisan is mos maar woord, ek sien ook aangesit, maar die een stroom is die San mense, wie die oudste gene het, en dan die Khoi mense. Maar daar was mos baie, as jy mos nou 'n mooi vrou, jy mos gesien met die hoed nou, as jy 'n mooi vrou sien, en die hoed op, en dan maak jy mos maar nou jou ding, is mos 'n Noord-Kaapse ding. So is dit vir, om, weet wat is aan nou, ek kan nie aan nou naam uitspreek nie, het ons daar die laaste nou spreker, as sy nie meer daar is, as sy nie meer, daar is daar niks meer nou sprekers nie. Maar nou gelukkig is het hulle die app gemaakt, waar is 'n app waar jy nou kan natuurlijk acteer met die praat. Maar die een ding wat ek wil vertel, voor 'n jaar of wat voor COVID, het ons vir Petrus Valboy, né? Ook van die Noord-Kaap. Nou is hy mos nou in sy velletjies en sy daai dingetjie oor sy ding. En Petrus is besig om my storie te vertel. Nou vertel hy die storie Die story loop in Kimberley, daar was 'n ding in Kimberley gewees. Hy stap daar so in Kimberley. En hy vertel nou, maar hulle vertel mos die storie met 'n lang pad. Dit mos nou nie stryd nie. En hy sê die Blerries Collie stiek sy hand binne in my knapsak. Ek sê vir hom, wat soek jou hand in my knapsakkie? Maar toe hy nog so weer nog aan buite skilpad om binne in die skilpad wat in die sakkie is van binne aan. Maar wat so om Petrus vat my toe daai oor, maar hier kom die punchline nou. Net toe om Petrus nou die hele storie klaar vertel het, lei sy selfoon in hy sakkie. Dus my toe val die emosionele trip wat hy my gehad het, val plat van die skilpad storie. So, môre is nog 'n dag, so as ek môre nie daar is om julle formeel te welkom nie, dit was die verwelkoming. Vir my is die colloquium deel van die proses van die dekolonisering van die kasteel, and the building of armed colonial conquest, enslavement and apartheid. Do you know that was also the quarters of the SNDF? There is still a military presence, but it is at the back of the castle, and they look after the castle 24 hours. But I'm the first civilian in the castle. I also thought I was the first person of color. But Simon van der Stel and Willem Andre van Stel, but also people of color. Thank you very much and enjoy your evening.
Baie dankie. Waardeer dit, nee. Okay. Give Mr. Calvin another nice round of applause. Next, it gives me great pleasure to once again just acknowledge, as I prepare to call on Dr. Litswalo from representing the UNISA delegation, just to acknowledge Dr. Litswalo as well as Dr. Fiona Ferris-Leon. It's nice to have all of you here. So on that note, I'm going to welcome Dr. Litswalo, who's going to share a few words with us on behalf of the Department of Linguistics and Modern Languages and the university. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As Trevor was introducing the speakers here, I was thinking to myself, I don't remember them asking for my bio. How is he going to introduce me? And then I remembered, okay, no, I'm not yet there. I'm still a one-sentence person. Dr. Mukwena was just mentioning that they are small people, so I'm still the small person. Thank you very much. And I was sitting there, and Trevor came, and he wanted to make sure that he got my slide. Don't worry, Trevor. Even Lorado still can't pronounce my name. Yeah. And I'm saying this so that as I'm going to speak here and I get some of the surnames wrong, just know that I started by saying with all due respect. And you know that when one says with all due respect, there's a huge disrespect that is. But I'll try. Let me avoid disrespecting people and follow in the footsteps of the DVC and say all protocol observed. Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is a single honor to stand here in front of you today, and I'm going to start acknowledging Dr. Mukwena. And part of collaboration is sharing. Sharing is caring, DVC. Yeah, I hear that you're already dangling a carrot for her to come back. Let's have the spirit of collaboration. So let us enjoy her for just a short time. Thank you very much. As I stand here today, our institution is celebrating 150 years. And this year we have been having festivities celebrating this 150 years. And we know, and part of this celebration is shaping futures of the people of our communities. And as we shape these futures, we do so by preserving our languages, our cultures, our histories, and we do so also looking at our traditions. And we learn from those who came before us, such as people like Nguki wa Thiong'o, and I'll quote what he says, is that we cannot afford to be intellectual outsiders in our own land. We must reconnect with the buried alluvium of African memory and use it as a base for the further planting of African memory on the continent. This can only result in empowerment of African languages and cultures and make them pillars of a more self-confident Africa ready to engage with the world through give and take, but from its base of African memory. And what Ngugi says is relevant to the colloquia that we are having this looking at the theme that's Ruptures and Legacies, the Northern Cape before and after the borders. And this colloquium continues to invoke insightful and thought-provoking conversations that seeks to find tangible solutions to the challenges faced by the diverse Northern Cape province and its people. And as we look at the theme of the colloquium this year, which seeks to answer the questions related to the ruptures, we're also looking at the identities, the traditional lifestyles, and the indigenous knowledge. And this is relevant for me to stand here today because we come here trying to forge relationships. One of the things that strike academia with a huge blow is that we have people who are doing significant work, but they are working in silos. And we need to move away from instances such as that so that we can feed our communities, because we need to also avoid the syndrome of men of the match. You know, there's that syndrome of men of the match. I want to be the one who saved the community. I want to be the one who was first to do something. But if we put community at the center, then we know that we are going in the right direction. As I here today, I want to really bring to your attention that as we gather for the third installment of Deng, which will be taking place in the historic Castle of Good Hope, we do so while we embody the essence of academic cooperation and its profound impact to society. I was requested, or actually not me, my line manager. So I'm here my line manager. So my line manager was requested to come and speak on the significance of inter-university collaboration. So I'll just quickly touch on a few points because I was given 10 minutes. One of the factors that fosters formal collaboration is academic excellence. Inter-university collaboration such as this one, which we are hoping that after the colloquium we can, sitting on the table and negotiating that, provide a platform for academics expertise and diverse perspective from the different institutions together, the community. We are able to witness the synergy that the people that propels research and into new heights. I'm not bragging, I was just saying that as an institution we are celebrating 150 years. And in South Africa, there's no other institution that is as old as that. And thanks that the DVC is also the product of our institution. So there is some resources that we can engage and share so that we are better fitted to assist our communities, because an institution that does not impact the community is as good as it does not exist. The second part is addressing complex issues. As the colloquial this year will be looking at the ruptures and legacies. Colonialism and apartheid has left some indelible marks in our country. In this context, to the people of the Northern Cape. So through collaborative research, we can address some of these deep-seated ruptures. And we know that we have bright minds in our institutions that can come together to be able to address these complex issues. Also cannot deny the fact that having 12 official languages, we are diverse. So we also come together to celebrate diversity. And having partnership is not merely about sharing resources, as I previously mentioned, but also looking at the diversity of perspectives that we have, where researchers and scholars from different backgrounds can come together and shed some light on untold stories and hidden histories. And as you were saying, there is no way that we can come as academics to come and share these untold stories, these hidden histories, if involving the communities. And by so doing, we are also empowering the communities that we are living within. To cut my long story short, the inter-university collaboration, one can be forged between University of South Africa and the University of Western Cape, and not forgetting the people, which can be exemplified by the colloquium we are going to have, that we are partnering in. It's not only a celebration of academic achievement, but a testament to the transformative power that when two universities come together can have. It reminds us that when institutions work together in pursuit of knowledge and social progress, they can make profound difference in the lives of individuals and communities. As the University of South Africa, we are committed to engage scholarship as part of reclaiming Africa's intellectual futures, and we are here to initiate that relationship in service of humanity. And I would like to wish you all the best in the colloquia, and may it be a success. Thank you very much. So these are the benefits of Tomamena.
Thank you so much. So good news, we are finishing, we are closing. But I want to end off my story that I started off a few moments ago about UWC and the young people here. That this year I was proud, it was the third student participant of my PhD who formed part of the data that graduated at this very University of the Western Cape. So that is why UWC is such a special place in my heart. So, yeah, so that story is all to you guys. To asseblief. Kom na ons toe. Ons is hier. All right, so I think I've done what I'm supposed to do now. I'm going to thank everybody. Once again, thank you to each and every person that gathered here tonight. We thank all the speakers that spoke tonight. Ons waardeer elkeen van julle. Dankie dat julle hier is. Dankie vir julle contributions, vir aanmerkings. Ons waardeer dit opreg. Ek het amper vergeet om Afrikaans te praat. All right, so now I just want to make an announcement. So we are going to, so we have our is ready, and it is self-service. It's a buffet. And so I ask that colleagues please exit that door, and I ask that we allow the table where the rector is seated, followed by the table, the next. We'll work our way from here right to the back. So that's the only announcement that I have. So sorry, colleagues there at the back. Dr. Ellis, Professor Ellis was getting excited there to eat. That's it, right? Anybody?
Of course. Can we please give Trevor a round of applause?
Baie dankie, baie dankie. Baie dankie.
Thank you so much, Trevor, for carrying us through and for your eloquence and your grace. May God bless you.
Baie dankie.
Colleagues, those who have parking tickets, please just give them to me. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Dwayne and colleagues are going to be, they will be blessing us with some amazing music. So oor na julle toe, baie dankie weer eens. So ons gaan vra dat die eerste tafel asseblief gaan. Volg by die na dit gaan die tweede tafel en dan begin ons tafel 3 en so om. Alright.
Wat?
Ja, die beat die speel, ons moet dan sonder beat. Jy dan moet ons hy intro hê. Intro, dis ons die song met intro. Keyboard 'n bietjie lig.
Ek hoor die roepstem van my voorvaders. Daar uit die Boesman laat, daar aan 'n kant die raam. Boesmanland toe nou, om te behou. Ja, my Boesmanland, daar kan die raam. Boesmanland toe nou, om die vrede te behou. Ja, dis my Boesmanland, aan die kant die raam. Oor die koppies gaan ons glij, die donkiekar gaan ons ry. Daar na my Boesman, daar aan die kant die raam. My naastong sal jy van, onder die rooi sand vastgebind. Daar in die Boesmanland, daar aan die kant die raam. Ek sal Boesmanland se kind, sy ons aan my te vind. Ja, ek swam Boesmanland, daar aan die kant die raam. My Boesmanland so mooi, in sy blomme pracht getooi. Ja, ek swam Boesmanland, daar aan die kant die raam. Bushmanland to know, om die vrede te behouden. Ja, dat is mijn Bushmanland, daar aan de kant die rand. To know, om die vrede te behouden. Ja, mijn Bushmanland, daar aan de kant die Bushmanland to know, om die vrede te behouden. Ja, dat is mijn land, daar aan de kant die rand. Tika jay vir my beleer, gaan jy vanaf vir my kose. Rika tika jay vir my beleer, gaan jy vanaf dat vir my kose. Rika jay vir my beleer, gaan jy vanaf my kose. Rika jay vir my beleer, gaan jy vanaf dat vir my kose. Daar sal ek staan in die vleise kweep staan. My huis in de Rika, as jy my ko bly. Rika tika jay vir my beleer, gaan jy vanaf vir my kose. Rika tika vir my beleer, gaan jy vanaf dat vir my kose.